Uh, Borada, Borada in Bubble Revez. Good morning, my strange people. We've got yeah. Ich bin hier. Uh, I uh, I know that's I am something like that, and just like a handful of um of uh of phrases, some of which may or may not be just like meme stuff that became absorbed into the ether of um of the Anglophonic society. I Blitzkriegs. I'm out and about, but we'll tune in later. Watch Ethel's video. Yeah, Josh. Ich bin hier is I'm here. Okay, sweet. So I know that much more German. I know very little German. I do know. I'm actually like really happy with so um one way that I could tell how brutally depressed I was like all last year was I did fuck all with my Duolingo refresher course in Welsh, which so yeah, just to like summarize my the uh the video that I made about it, I but I will link to that in in the chat box momentarily as I just like please load faster. That would be nice. But but yeah, when I was about so like I said, I'm gonna like summarize the what was it, like a 40-minute video I did, a get ready with me story time ish kind of thing that I used to do these a lot when I was a um doing a more explicitly like goth tube esque videos, right? These were uploaded and stuff. Um, um, all right. So, can we? Oh, it looks like it. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Okay, so when my grandfather, so my maternal grandfather. When I speak about my grandparents, it's almost always my maternal grandparents because my my paternal granddad died almost a year to the day before I was born. Um, so I never knew him, not even, a little tiny bit as a very small child, you know. And my paternal grandmother, um, Grandma Mac, she died when I was about 3.5 years old. Um, like my only memory of, like that, I never had to be reminded of, was of my father's mother was actually about the incident that led to um my father and his younger sister basically um cutting tie. Yeah, just like they had like a big fight at Grandma Mac's front room in front of the children over whether or not Grandma Mac needed to go to like a convalescent, kind of hospice nursing home kind of care, right? And so like my father and my aunt Karen, because I have two aunts named Karen, because that's how popular that name was in 1948. Um, to be fair, my one of them was born early 49s, but still, like, that's the point. So yeah, my dad and my aunt Karen were just like, telling the other aunt of mine, their other sister, no, Ma wants to die at home. Ma's never done anything, that she didn't want to, and we're not going to start making her just because, she's, you know, just because this is most likely her last year, with all the cancer, right? So that's like my only memory of that grandmother and um and that aunt that my father and my aunt Karen have, like long since cut ties with over that specific argument, right? So yeah, when I speak about my grandparents, it's uh, about why I speak Welsh. So anyway, like I said, my mother's parents, when I'm speaking about my grandparents, it's almost always speaking of my maternal grandparents. So my my mother's parents are from England. Technically, my mother's father is from Cornwall, which let's in this I believe it's in this video. It might have been another GRWM story time, but seriously, we're doing this today, laptop. Really? But yeah, I think it was in this video where I compared Cornwall and Wales to wallaby nards. Like, because unlike most mammals, and marsupials are technically mammals. They're just they're just a specific class of mammals that I think it's the I think it's whatever the hell platypuses and echidnae are that are in this weird like liminal are they mammals kind of thing. I don't it's weird, but so like okay, like marsupials are a specific class of mammals. This includes wallabies. Wallabies are marsupials. So Cornwall. No. Cornwall, Wales map. There we go. Okay. Images. So yeah, I believe it is in the video that I linked there. Seriously, we're gonna just okay, let's go with Great Britain map because that's the name of the island. Okay, Great Britain map. Okay, here we go. Here's a good one to let's go view image to view the whole thing. And the reason I want to like show why I made the comparison of Cornwall and Wales to wallaby junk is because it's funny. Wait, seriously? We're doing this today, laptop. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I want to like, kind of like give visual aid to why I made this comparison, and the reason I want to give the visual aid is because it's kind of funny. Now, I'm not going to give a visual aid to wallaby junk. Please look that up on your own time because I do not want YouTube to give me like some kind of TOS strike because I don't do educational videos about animals. I'm going to leave that up to Zay Frank if he ever decides to do a video about wallabies because he brings up the junk, the various genitalia configurations of animals quite a lot in his videos. Okay, there we go. This is the right one. So anyway, the reason I know why it's not unfair to compare Wales and Cornwall, like the way that they're set up. So, like, here's Wales, here's Cornwall. The reason I know this is because my own best ex used to know one of the people who started Bad Dragon. I don't know if the person best ex used to know um, is the really problematic person behind Bad Dragon. Please don't ask me for like a history, like, you know, like not even an oral history on Bad Dragon. At least not tonight. I'm sure I can look it up at a different time for a future stream of sorts. This sounds like something that I would probably talk about whilst doing jigsaw puzzles. But yeah, the reason, like I said, the reason I know about this, the reason I know about like why Wallaby Junk looks the way that it does, which is having the balls on top of the shaft. So, so yeah, like this, so yeah, like Cornwall, Devon, like, just, I usually forget that like Cornwall is like just the tip, like just the glands of the peninsula. For some reason, I seem to think it's like all the way up to here. Please don't ask me why. I think Cornwall is much bigger than it actually is in terms of like, you know, how England divvies itself up. I probably just think that because it's where my granddad's from. But yeah, like Wales is up here, Wales is the balls, and down here, like this whole peninsula of which the tip is Cornwall, this is the shaft of the Wallaby Junk. And that is because wallabies have their balls on top. Please don't ask me why this is. This is just like, and I think it's just wallabies and not like kangaroos as well. And like I said, the reason I know this is because Bad Dragon and Best X, I don't know if they were like exactly friends, but you know, like they at least knew each other through online stuff. So yeah, like Best X used to know one of the people behind, you know, at least one of the people who started Bad Dragon. I don't know which person behind behind starting Bad Dragon this was. I don't remember if it was like one person who started it up and then like brought in a couple of other people right away or what. Like, I don't know the details behind the early days of Bad Dragon. I just know Best X used to know one of the people, you know, from the early days of Bad Dragon. Therefore, like, you know, like they would like Best X got links to stuff a lot because, you know, like they knew some of the same people. You know, they ran. And I don't, and like Best X isn't a furry himself. He just finds the weird directions that the weird but like non-harmful directions that human sexuality can turn down to be like, you know, like one of it's like his favorite brand um of unintended comedy that, you know, exists. Like I said, like I said, like he just finds it kind of inherently funny. Like some of the unusual and unharmful directions that human sexuality can turn down. But anyway, so yeah, like that's why I compare Cornwall and Wales to Wallaby Junk. You know, that's the source of why I compare the two, because, you know, like Wales is a peninsula of sorts that is just like, you know, like it's a little bit of a bulging peninsula. And and you know, like I don't want to go over like which Bad Dragon model that this peninsula, you know, the Cornwall, Devon, you know, Somerset Peninsula, like, you know, like the southwest peninsula of England. I don't want to go over like which particular Bad Dragon model, which I believe is long discontinued, that this actually looks like, because, you know, like I said, like I I'm I used to, especially like, you know, like 15 plus years ago, I used to like look at a whole lot of like Bad Dragon stuff just because Best X thought it was kind of funny that people wanted um adult novelties in these shapes. So yeah, like I said, this is the source of why I say Wales is wallaby balls, why Cornwall is wallaby glands. Like it references like why I, it references like an old bad dragon for like why Josh says if it didn't want to be compared to it, then it wouldn't look like it. Right? Exactly. Like if the people of Cornwall and Wales don't want their parts of the island to be compared to wallaby junk, then why look like wallaby junk? So anyway, like I said, like because I'm trying to like give a brief of the whole like why I speak Welsh. And that's because, like, okay, so like I said, like my Tashow, my maternal granddad, grew up in Cornwall, grew up in a little bitty village, which I think is now considered a hamlet by population. Let me see if I can pull up a map that at least shows it on, like relative to the rest of Cornwall. TRES. I don't always spell it right the first time. Map. So yeah, Tassow, my maternal granddad. Oh, we're getting road maps, aren't we? Okay, let's just go back to hereabouts. Wikipedia. Okay, I can just come to here instead. So, okay, like, you're not going to let us zoom out on this map, are you? At least not easily. Anyway, it's hereabouts. Please don't ask me. Seriously? We're doing this today, aren't we, laptop? Okay. So yeah, the Tassow's old village, which, like I said, I think is hamlet by population. Yes, Cheskillard is a hamlet in the southeast of Camborne. Yeah, that's an RNE. Camborne in West Cornwall, England, United Kingdom. And this is all we know about this is all Wikipedia wants to tell people about where my maternal granddad grew up. This is, and we've got this photo here. Is that showing up on the thing? You've got this photo here of a view of the hamlet from another spot. Like let's see. Across Newton Moor towards Cheskillard. So yeah, like this is just like, from like the other side of the Newton Moor, just like looking like, so hereabouts, right, is the hamlet where my Tashow grew up. So he was born 1920, so he like grew up in the 20s and 30s. And at least at that time, the local dialect was it was a version of English, but it was like an English Cornish Creole. So when people say that Cornish is a reconstructed language, it's reconstructed from a lot of like what stuck around in the early 20th century. So there's like seemingly random Cornish vocabulary thrown in. Like I said, it seems random to somebody like me who like didn't grow up speaking it. I'm sure if I grew up speaking it, it would make perfect sense and wouldn't seem so random. So anyway, my mother and her sisters didn't really speak any. I think they knew like a couple of words. Tashow is a familiar form of grandfather, which is why I say granddad instead of grandfather, because it's like it's closer to granddad in in a translation, right? so it's like a familiar form. So like if you are the grandchild, and I don't know the full like proper grandfather off the top of my head, and either Cornish or Welsh, but so yeah, like my mother's parents died within about like 16 months of each other, right? Grand Mary went first. She was from London originally, and Tashau went after. But yeah, like Tashau would just like what I now recognize as like what was likely some kind of like anxiety attack. Some kind of anxiety attacks he would have like periodically, like not full-blown panic, but just like when he was extra anxious, he would slip into, just like, his the native pidgin he grew up speaking. Now, the reason he didn't stay in Cornwall and work the mines like a lot of young men of his age in 1936 thereabouts is because he had asthma. So, like, basically, like, nobody in the village was going to let him work the mines, and he had a lot of anxiety from just like watching some kind of incident with I think a cow kicked somebody in the head that like later like either like I can't remember if the person died or something, but it's like so basically like he had like a lot of anxiety working around like livestock, like especially like anything like like an adult ram sheep or larger, this like somehow just like clicked in his head that after witnessing that accident as a small child, that like these are not safe animals to work around if you don't know what you're doing. And I mean, of course, like logically you have to learn what you're doing around them, but if you're too nervous to work around them, to learn what to do around them, then you're not going to very easily learn what to do around them, right? So it's like, so he just like ended up hitchhiking to London, because it was 1930. Yeah, it was like 1936. So, and yes, he was 16. That was, considered more or less adult in the UK at that time. Anyway, so yeah, he ended up hitchhiking to London. On the way there, he was, he met up with another guy who I believe was from another village in Cornwall. Please don't ask me which one, but he was either from another village in Cornwall or a village in Devon. So, and like, so they got talking, and like the other guy he met, was like maybe a year or so older, so like 17, maybe 18. And also had asthma, and says like, hey, look, if you can learn, I can teach you how to mask your symptoms, and you can like make good money working the freight docks, right? So he did. He worked the freight docks, like loading stuff off of barges on the Thames, and like onto like whatever to go to a train or something. And that's how he met Grand Mary, which was they went to, like the girls who wrapped bars at Cadbury like she did, and the young guys who worked at the docks would, meet, at, along, at this like string of a few pubs along, like a street between the two. And it would just like be kind of like a pub crawl, like back and forth. So it's like, oh, hey, like this musician is playing over, at this pub, but they're having a really good dinner here. So let's, and it would be kind of like that. Like they go up and down the streets, doing, and just like me. And if you asked my Tashau, what he first noticed about Grand Mary, he would say that she was being a little bit tipsy and obnoxious, but in an adorable way that reminded him of the old ladies in the village who would smoke pipes, wear men's shoes, and practice witchcraft. And Grand Mary would say, don't listen to that man. He lies. I was a perfect lady the whole time, and there's no way you can prove otherwise. Which I've had a couple of friends say, like that is like the most, that is like the most England thing, especially for that part of the 20th century that, they personally, have ever heard about. And I say, yeah, there's a reason that, that kind of thing was like in all the kitchen sink dramas of the like 40s through 60s, is because like, that's just how people were. There's a reason they were called kitchen sink dramas, because, it was based on, or at least inspired by the lives of regular people in England. So anyway, as to why I speak Welsh was because, like I said, it occurred to me that, like, after my grandparents died when I was 11, because they both, like I said, they died within about 16 months of each other. Grandmary first, and Tassau because he basically he basically stressed himself into an ulcer that went septic very fast, and so yeah, it occurred to me, like, not too long after they'd both passed, that my mother and her sisters didn't speak a lick of Cornish, beyond, like, familiar terms for, like, mother and father, right? Like, simple basic stuff. I spoke even less. I knew Tassau. And I'm sure at the time, when I was 11, I probably could have thought back to, something that might have been equivalent to a swear word that I just picked up from Tassau himself. But, this long after the fact, I still don't really know a lick of Cornish, beyond Tassau. So then what happens was, when I was about 12 years old, my father remarried. That is a story, up. Hello, Phoebe. You're coming behind me to beg for pettings, huh? So yeah, and I decided to learn Welsh because I learned from reading the encyclopedia at the library, excuse me, of the town in rural Lenawee County where my stepmother lived, that Welsh, Breton, which is the Brittonic, which is the Brittonic Celtic language spoken in the Brittany region of France. So Welsh, Breton, and Cornish are very closely related, and, like, if you learn one of them, it will be easier to learn the other, in the same way that, like, learning Spanish makes it a little bit easier to learn Portuguese later, because, like, they have, like, let's say roughly 50% overlap. It's just, like, you can get through a day or so, in Spain, if you only know Portuguese, or vice versa. Like, you can get through a day in Portugal if you only know Spanish. You're not going to have the easiest time, having, like, detailed conversations about much, but you can kind of get by. But, and, as a bonus, like, like I said, if you go to visit Portugal knowing only Spanish, you will have an edge above people who know neither language when you go to learn Portuguese, like visiting Portugal from Spain, right? So, hello. Yes. Miss Phoebe's gonna be a pain in my butt, huh? Yes, she is. I don't know why she likes to come up behind me to beg for pettings, but this is just what she does lately. This is her thing she does. This is just Phoebe right now. She's hello. Hello, I love you. I love you so much. I do. You're my little lady cat, aren't you? You are. You're a sweetie. You're a sweet little lady cat. I love you. I do. Want some spankings? Okay, maybe not, but at least not right now. No, I know. Josh continues. Oh no, showing a map of Britain. Ethel, Michael, and your dog. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, it can't. I mean, if we're applying Poppy logic, right? Yeah. It's like, oh my God. Like, first off, like, Ethel puts out so much info about herself on the internet already that, like, it's kind of funny that her middle name isn't already well known, in some way or another, right? It's like, it's not difficult to find out, a significant amount of info about Ethel already, just because of what she puts out herself, which is why I, have been stressing on Reddit, which now has a private sub, because, like, somebody couldn't handle the fact that, she basically promoted the anti-EOT sub, right? Like, she couldn't handle that fact. So, like, the fact that it was, like, now getting members and, you know, like, people were trying to be active within it. So, you know, but, you know, like, there were obviously issues because it had, like, basically, like, been put into a forced retirement by Reddit. The thing is still, like, somewhat usable on my end anyway. So yeah, like then like I made you know, an r/essence of thought, which of course Ethel decided, you know, like, no, this can't be a thing. You're bad in doing this bit. And you know, like, no, I'm giving the people what they want, but okay. I then made a private sub that somehow she found out about it, possibly because the code name I gave it wasn't quite as clever. But yeah, like, now there's another, you know, private sub that she's been preemptively banned from, to, you know, at least, you know, discourage her from trying to report it again, you know. So yeah, like, there's a so yeah, like I said, like, that's why I keep stressing public. Like, keep it to stuff that Ethel has already made public herself, because Ethel makes a lot of info about herself public already, which is another, like I said, like, that's another reason that I just kind of, like, that I kind of know that, like, whatever the fuck her middle name is, it's going to begin with the letter O, and it's probably going to be funny in some kind of way. And that fact alone is just kind of funny because, you know, Ethel, like, you know, like many lolcows before her, like Chris Chan, like Earl Doobie, like Daniel Larson. I mean, okay, maybe not as, you know, maybe not as bad in terms of, like, the kind of, like, horrendous stuff that Earl and Danderson made public already about themselves, you know, such as, you know, various untoward desires and other such behaviors towards minors. So, like, you know, like, Ethel, you know, hasn't made anything incriminating public. Well, no, I take that back, because I did look up. I've still got the old phone. It's still, like, functioning to some extent. I'm, you know, like, I've moved a lot of you know, especially necessary apps and shit off of um well, I've deleted them from the old phone, and I've got a lot of them already up on the new phone. Ooh. But so that's why I didn't do this yesterday. Was, like, I was getting, like, the new phone arrived, and I was just, like, getting, like, really, like, zeroed in on getting a lot of the stuff that I absolutely needed on there working. And because of a lot of what because I've got a lot of, like, um there's, like, password stuff that I, like, didn't write down or something, because, like, everybody wants to force you into making, like, the worst possible password imaginable, right? So so yeah, like, I had to spend, like, a lot of time getting some of the most basic shit that I need up on the new phone. So but yeah, like I said, like, the old one is still, like, it's functioning as kind of like a little tiny tablet at this point. So then what was I doing? Um ba, 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 ba. Oh yeah. So I've actually been, like, I've formed an allegiance with Nervardia, a friend of Rachel Oates. So yeah, like, like I said, I'm now in cahoots with a friend of Rachel Oates. Ethel now has that much more against me. Oh noes. Where was I? I picked up this one for a reason. Oh, right. The Indian Penal Code. Yeah, Ethel's little stunt with Vangelina Skav actually did violate India law. That she's she's literally a criminal in India, just just has yet to face charges. But okay, so let's send to device. And retrieving your device list is taking longer than expected. Please try again later. Oh, bull crap. So yeah, now there were a couple of sites that I saw this on, and so at the time of the incident, Section 384 IPC extortion applied, but I believe something changed in July of 2024 that it's now under a different code. So like it's like they're both basically the same they're both basically the same thing, the same law that was violated. It's just like they're given like different names in the in India's penal code. So yeah, like I said, like what Ethel's little stunt with Vangelina a year ago this March, April, I believe. I don't care enough to look at up the exact date right now. But I did pass that info along to Vangelina Skov, and I really hope it goes somewhere because, like I said, it's it like Ethel is technically a criminal, just one who has yet to face charges for this, and but yeah, like I said, like I've been officially in cahoots with a friend of Rachel Oates, as almost a week ago now. So that's fun. Josh continues. His grandfather was from Hungary, but dad never learned Hungarian. Oh yeah, that's kind of I don't get it, but that seems to be a thing with like children of immigrants. Josh slowly teaching yourself Hungarian. Good job on that. Literally rewatched multiple videos about Poppy from almost a year ago. Right? It was like a year ago this week or something that that I got dragged into like catching strays in during the implosion of the Poppy Cool, which and like now this year I am actively helping to assemble a dossier on all of Ethel's shenanigans, which will hopefully destroy any last iota of credibility she still has, especially amongst the teenagers that overwhelmingly populate her Discord server. Because like at this point, that's like the only people who take her seriously anymore, especially after that stunt with Vangelina last year. But the thing is like, like when you're into somebody, when you're into like some kind of online persona, when you're that young, you either grow out of it or you grow into it, right? Like this is why it's like I was I was rewatching something about or watching something that was like recapping um the um the fairly short and mostly uneventful online career, quote unquote, of DJ Mule. And I saw somebody like with doing with a YouTube short like that was titled something like, was DJ Mule right about Xander Hall? And like, no, DJ Mule was not right about Xander Hall, because DJ Mule just like pretty much went on vibes, and while his vibes were in the right general direction, um Mule tried to justify his vibes by just making shit up. For the most part, like it was like at best he would like grossly misconstrue some shit that Xander Hall said, and just like go in this real like pull like the tiniest like portion of a quote out of context, where like in context Demon Mama, who has also herself since been embarrassed on the internet, but for let's be honest, shit that mostly her partner, at least one partner, has done, that was kind of like brushed off at the time by Demon Mama herself. But that's like, I don't know, like I think at one time Demon Mama meant well. I'm not so sure about lately, but I'm kind of like coming in the general direction that or of opinion that President Sunday has, which is that like, yeah, she meant well at one time, but she just kind of stopped caring. But oh no. Josh, swear she'll come out and say she put the letter O there, but it doesn't mean anything. She'll say it's customary, like my grandfather, and just say it's just an O. That's a possibility I've kind of like thought of myself, that like maybe it's just O, just to like go with the whole like essence of noun naming scheme that she's got with like like basically her online brand at this point. Like she wants to say she's doing activism, when honestly she's she does a lot of drama videos. She does a lot of low-hanging fruit as far as LGBTQ advocacy on the internet goes. Like, she tackles J.K. Rowling and Glinner tweets and not a whole lot else. Occasionally she'll say something about relevant news, but again, it's usually stuff that a lot of other people have addressed in better ways. But yeah, no, like DJ Mule was not right about Xander Hall. All DJ Mule had at the time was vibes, and yes, it's since been revealed that like Xander Hall is just like, he's a pretty toxic person to have in your online social sphere. I thought he was kind of stupid, but at least entertaining enough, if in the same way that like Cheech and Chong, like old Cheech and Chong bits can be entertaining enough. Like, it's not, of course, at the same time, it's like a lot of his stoner takes were like, it was like a junior high student's impression of what Cheech and Chong takes were, right? It's right. It's like a 13-year-old guy trying to follow Cheech and Chong's little cue, right? Josh says, my grandfather was always like, it's just a G, it's customary, doesn't mean anything, but it actually did. Yeah, Zan is a piece of shit, no thanks. I know, right? Like what all DJ Mule did was make Xanderhall seem kind of sympathetic because of just the complete, like, the completely lacking research, at the very least, DJ Mule did in trying to show what a piece of shit Xanderhall was. Like I said, he was going on vibes. Fuck all else, and just, like, tried to justify his vibes by making some shit up. And going in, like, really weird directions with, like, portions of quotes that, like, in, like, the full quote did not mean anywhere close to what DJ Mule was saying. So, like, no, DJ Mule was never right about Xanderhall. At, like, the most charitable, you could say that, like, his vibes, his vibe check was right, but he did nothing. He did nothing, in terms of, like, research or, whatever, like, internet dirt digging to back up his vibes. He just made shit up, which, like you'd think, like, Josh says, used to like Zan, then the whole Keffels thing, and before. See, I was already, like, really disappointed with Zan even before the Keffels thing, and that's because, like, Zan has a bad habit of just, like, talking about shit that he doesn't really know much, if anything, about. Like, his whole weird take that I've passed on to, like, Malcolm and Keldoge, and I don't know, I could look it up, because I've got that video of his that he said it in, like, all but bookmarked, but so yeah, like, he said something, like, incredibly disparaging to the point that, and disparaging enough to the point that it's basically misinformation, the way Zan is saying it, about, FTM bottom surgeries, when, that, like I said, like, it's disparaging enough to the point that it's practically misinformation, and it's harmful when it's, when it's that disparaging to the point of misinformation, because the way he's saying it seems to be actively discouraging trans men from seeking it. Because, like, I mean, and if he knew anything, like, if he knew even, like, a little bit, like, if he knew even a little bit more than he does, which is clearly, like, nothing, but if he knew even a little bit about FTM bottom surgeries, he would know that, one, phalloplasties were developed during World War I, I believe. It's basically like an elaborate form of skin grafting. And the reason that they were developed during World War I was because I think that was the first big war. Yeah, that was the first big war where, like, landmines were a thing. So, like, guys were getting their junk blown off. Like, cis guys were getting their junk blown off in, by landmines. And just to, feel, like, more whole as men, like, even though, like, like, they have one leg that's barely functioning left, right? They're missing their junk, right? So what do doctors do? Well, skin grafting was already, grafting had been developed since about the Civil War era, right? So, like, around the Civil War period of so, like, mid 19th century for the rest of the world. So, like, around that time, like, skin grafting was already being developed. So, like, World War I, that's already, like, the 1912 thereabouts, right? So, like, the 1910s, like, skin grafting had already been, developing for about, like, well over 50 years at this point. So, like I said, like, phalloplasty is based on skin grafting. It is an elaborate form of skin grafting, just like, like, based on, like, all the steps, right? So, like I said, like, they developed it during World War I because cis men were getting their junk blown off by landmines, and so it's gonna like worldwide, just because there are still landmines that exist in the world, right? There are still, like, And there's all sorts of other horrible accidents and, and illnesses even, wherein cis men will lose their junk to some extent or another. And, so yeah, like annually, at an annual rate, there are more cis men than there are trans men who get some form of phalloplasty surgery. So because, like they're like, even if it's like, like six cis men to four trans men, or like a rate of like 3 to 2 when we're going to the, like, like even if it's like, like I said, like 3 cis men a year versus 2 trans men a year, roughly, right? Like even if we're doing like those kind of numbers, that is still more cis men getting a phalloplasty than trans men. Ergo, yeah, phalloplasty surgery is gonna look good. It's gonna look better than Xanderhal seems to think it is. And so, just because, like, there are simply more cis men, numerically speaking, who are getting it, to some extent. Like, like some is going to be a full phalloplasty, some is going to be a partial phalloplasty, right? So yeah, like Zan, saying, oh yeah, like yeah, if I don't think the technology is there. So yeah, if I were a trans dude, I would pass off on the dick surgery. I'm like, no, Xanderhal, like first off, and phalloplasty is not the only form of FTM bottom surgery. Mine was a metoidioplasty, which, I mean, yeah, like I'm about like yay big down there, like, or like, that way, because I'm not a wallaby. They're not on top, right? So yeah, like, like I'm hung kind of like that down there. But that's in no small part because I've had bad experience with skin graft on my chest recon. But that's another story for another time. But like I said, like, yeah, phalloplasty is gonna look pretty good. I mean, the internal mechanisms to for other functions besides urination, because YouTube, we got to euphemize everything. That can vary the way that it's, the way it is done. Like I said, for that kind of like non-urinary functionality, that can vary. There are a number of ways it can be done, etc. But it's still gonna function, it's still gonna function pretty damn well because of the simple fact that even if very slightly in just terms of raw numbers, more cis men get it done than trans men annually. So that alone, like I said, like that alone is evidence that Xanderhal does not know what the hell he's talking about. But since he has a larger audience of than most trans YouTubers who talk about this kind of thing, and at the very least, he does have like, name recognition. So, and the weird ways that like YouTube will like, recommend videos to people and like not always like recommend somebody's, like if you could be subscribed to somebody, YouTube doesn't always tell you, when they've made a video. So yeah, it's just like, when somebody of Xanderhal's size relative to most trans YouTubers are talking about FGM bottom surgery in that way, it's harmful. So yeah, like I said, like I was already getting sick of Xanderhal's nonsense before the Keffels thing, and that's fine. Like I said, like before that, I thought he was like, like kind of stupid, but entertaining enough that I didn't think to, like remove him from my, subscription, roster on YouTube or anything. So yeah, like I thought he was stupid, but mostly harmless. And then like just like stuff just kept piling up where it was clear that he had no idea what the hell he was talking about. He was just talking, but he was doing so stoned in a way that's like entertaining enough to teenagers. But yeah, then he said the busted, like nonsense that, proved he has no idea what he's talking about as far as FTM bottom surgery goes. And that was my last straw. That was at least a good 6 months before, the DM leaks about him and, from him about Keffel's, leaked out. So I'm just like, all right, well, but still, it's like all DJ Mule was going on was vibes. And, um, and he just like made shit up to try and justify his vibes, which no, dude, like Xander Hall actually said some pretty busted shit even before the DJ Mule video. DJ Mule's like, failed shit piece. And what Xander Hall said about, like FGM bottom surgery, he said that a good like year and some after DJ Mule's shit piece, which I'm like, I honestly think that like, I think that I think the DJ Mule piece, just like kind of like encouraged Xander Hall in his own like stupid 21-year-old brain to just like keep coasting, because like I said, it kind of made him seem sympathetic the way that DJ Mule just like so brazenly made shit up to justify vibes. Josh continues. Even Zan's ex Lanny commented on. Oh yeah. So yeah, like Lanny later went to Stardust. I forget if it was on one of Stardust streams or if it was just like Twitter DMs. But I know that that Stardust is like said like no, Lanny confirmed to me that like no, her and Xander Hall's relationship was really messed up. Some of what Xander Hall said about it was not completely true. And reasons it wasn't completely true. Like, I don't know the details because I didn't see, I don't remember seeing that stream because it would have been like an archive VOD, whatever, by the time I, got into Stardust. And that's assuming it even was a stream. But yeah, like Lanny was up in DJ Mule's comments saying like, look, dude, I'm not saying Xander Hall's a good guy, but you are not I do not need you to try and defend me in this way. Like, half the shit you're saying isn't even true. The other shit you're saying is like barely true if I squint, and I don't need you white knighting for me because that's not how it happened. And it's really gross that you're saying, oh, not even any makeup sex. Like, no, dude, if I'm like, oh my God, like DJ Mule is like, I think people throw around this accusation a bit much, but like that comment from DJ Mule in his video, in his, in his shit piece on Xander Hall, like that just like showed DJ Mule is like so porn brained. Like, I think people throw that accusation around a bit much, especially like considering the Danky Jabbo failed, failed takedown that a couple of people did. My ears itch, and I know I build up earwax in a weird way, so it's a stream in my bedroom. I'm wearing a t-shirt that I've already worn a couple of times without, being in the laundry just yet, but I need to do laundry very, very soon. Both ears itch, so pardon me for this. But yeah, it's like when Xander Hall's ex in question that Mule thought he was, defending in any sort of way is like up in his comments saying, this ain't it, chief. Sit your ass down. You are, you are actively, harming, you're actively harming my case, against Xander Hall in the court of public opinion at this point. So it's like, but no. DJ Mule still stands behind that video for some reason. Like I said, like Josh even pointed out, like even Lanny came in and said, dude, Mule, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Please stop. This ain't it. But yeah, he still stands behind that whole video because he's he's like, the only reason he has to stand behind that actually like holds water is like he is literally stupider than Xander Hall. And I that feels wrong coming out of my mouth, those words in that order, but but yeah, it's true. Like that's the only reason he would stand behind it at this point is, he is on some level stupider than Xander Hall. Now, do I think he's better read than Xander Hall? Probably, as evidenced by his willingness to throw out fake quotes attributed to Lenin by a right-wing libertarian from the United States back in the 80s. DJ Mule is nowhere near as well read as he thinks he is. And as a number of people pointed out, that George Will fake Leninism doesn't even prove anything. If anything, even if we take this as, like a potentially true Lenin quote, which it's not. It can't be traced to Lenin in any way before George Will made it up for I think it was originally published in an article he wrote for Vanity Fair. But anyway, so like even if we take that, like why should we explain why Kautsky bad? First off, like Lenin had his own microgenre of of snarkily responding to Kautsky. So that alone shows DJ Mule is nowhere near as well read as he thinks he is. Secondly, like I said, if we assume this is true, that doesn't prove what Mule said. It proved all it would show was that, like at least as presented in the quote, Lenin could be incredibly patronizing in his attitude toward the workers. That he unlike Stalin, at least Lenin actually seemed to believe in what he was saying. I think Kautsky had better ideas. Trotsky definitely. I could go on, but yeah, like unlike Stalin, Lenin seems to actually believe in what he was saying. But yeah, like I said, if we take that quote at face value and like say, okay, assume Lenin said something at least remotely in this direction, that doesn't prove what Mule said it proved. All it shows is that Lenin could be incredibly patronizing and paternalistic, and thought very lowly of the working class, because that's what that quote ultimately suggests, was that like just tell people what we want to believe, and they're stupid enough they'll believe it. I'm sorry, Mule, that doesn't show that debate bad. Like seriously, like even Xander Hall is smart enough to see that quote does not prove debate bad. I think Xander Hall is just that smart. Like maybe barely, because Xander Hall is a dumbass. He's a dumbass. But I think he's at least just barely smart enough to be able to discern, what that George Will penned fake Lenin quote, did not prove anything that Mule alleged it did. So, but yeah, like when even like Xander Hall's ex-girlfriend Lanny was up in Mule's comment saying, no, Chief, this ain't it. I don't need you defending me if you're just going to be like making shit up. Like, but no, he couldn't even take that as, as a hint that maybe he's, wrong about this. Like, and like that, not even to say that like maybe Xander Hall good actually. Like, no, like maybe he's just going on vibes. Like he didn't even take that as a hint that maybe he's just going on vibes, and maybe he should retract this and make up a whole new piece that, like is actually like has some evidence behind it. But Josh continues, I took it almost immediately when he gave that take. Then I saw you talk about it after he started the debacle with Keffels. Oh yeah, Xander Hall. Then was like, whoa. Then was like, whoa, why did I believe that? Why did he give an opinion so uninformed and bad? Oh yeah. Took it almost immediately. Oh yeah. Yeah, Zan's dumb uninformed comments about FTM bottom surgery. So yeah, like yeah, like if people who, themselves for whatever reason don't know any better, just like are willing to take what Xanderhal says about it like that at face value, until they see somebody who, does know what they're talking about, because, well, FDM bottom surgery is actually like a part of my history, like I've had it done. Now in theory, I could go have a phalloplasty added on top of my metoidioplasty. I have occasionally considered doing that just for matter of size. I would like to top without having something hollow worn over the top of it. But at the same time, I'm just like, I've had like, bad experience with skin grafting, and I don't know. I don't want to like spend like X number of years like in continued surgery. Oh yeah, the DM leaks of from Xanderhal cemented that that he's kind of a oh okay, so Lanny was in Stardust's chat and said some stuff. Need to revisit some of the Zan Lanny stuff. Talked with Kel Doge on stream about Zan. Yeah. Why should we explain why Zan bad? All we have to do is say he's the enemy of the working class, and everyone will understand. Yeah. Like that's, like I said, like I genuinely think Xanderhal is that much smarter. Like just barely smart enough to understand why that quote does not, which, like I said, is like a fake, is like a fake thing that George Will, fabricated and attributed to Lenin because, he's a right-wing George Will was a right-wing. Is he still alive? Anyway, he's a right-wing libertarian who just like wanted to make the USSR look even worse, and so yeah, like Zan would understand like what, even if just barely, even if someone has to say the right words to Zan to nudge him in the direction of figuring out on his own like why that quote doesn't prove debate bro bad. And the fact that I can say that Xanderhal is even that tiny sliver of a micrometer smarter than DJ Mule, that is like such an intense insult to DJ Mule. That is how little I think of DJ Mule's ability to think. Like that is how bad that video on Xanderhal was. Because it's just like it says nothing. It says nothing that like the most it said was I'm just repeating myself at this point. Like at most it said that he gets bad vibe off of Xanderhal, which fair enough, but he produced nothing to back up his vibes. And people want to know more than vibes, and they would ideally like to know more than vibes that is actually like based on something that can be backed up. Like they want to know the source of the vibes. And when your source on vibes is just trust me bro as I write fanfic, or I guess anti-fanfic, to try and justify vibes. It's like people aren't stupid. People aren't stupid, DJ. They aren't stupid. They're not as stupid as DJ Mule thinks Lenin thinks people are, right? But yeah. Speaking of fake Lenin quotes, and DJ Mule, that brings me to how last night while I was like, after I'd already like kind of made the decision that I was going to like bump Thurston Thursdays to, at least this time around, to Thurston Thursdays on a Friday, because like I mean I'm sure like sometime sometimes it'll be on a Friday instead for whatever, reason. Like this time it was the reason that I had new phone. I had to put like, the most necessary apps first onto new phone. So anyway, like after I'd already made that decision, and I don't remember if I updated the time for I don't remember if I updated the time for tonight's stream, already after it started, or already before it started, or shortly after it started. But yeah, like I was like I said, after I'd already made the decision that it was going to be happening tonight, I went on to Goddammit Malcolm's stream and saw that he was going to be watching Essence of Thought's video on me. And I figured, sure, why not? Like, I've already been like, it's already been like what? Like, oh gosh. Yeah, that was sometime last week of December. And so it's already been about like 3 weeks and some. God damn it, Malcolm. So yeah, like it's already been 3 weeks and some. I've been telling people for the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, that that I plan to watch Ethel's dumb video on stream, but then just like keep putting it off because like I get caught up doing other stuff and looking at other stuff and ranting about Ethel, and the various ways in which she has been stupid and racist, and but will clearly try to we'll clearly try to somehow like obfuscate her stupidity and racism in like what basically amounts to her own woke skulled form of doublespeak that Malcolm already made his stream from last night private for purposes of editing. Am I Oh, I am. I do have membership. Somebody must have gifted me. Oh, that's right. I saw that last night. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I guess he just made it private and is going to be clipped up for by his editor. I think his editor is named Rowan, which I think I've mentioned before. Like I think that's one of the reasons that like yeah, I know like it's part of it is a bit at this time with me and Malcolm that he oh my gosh, so many people mispronounce my name in so many different ways. Ethel's, as I saw last night, was especially special. Like I that was especially special. Like it made me like cringe internally each time, and it's been a while since I've heard anything like in that general area. But yeah, like Malcolm at this point, like he knows it's not he knows it's not Ruin, he knows it's Ruadhán, but I think like part of it, like I said, I know part of it is a bit at this point. Like every time I show up in chat, which fair. Like you're a familiar chatter in somebody else's stream. These kind of little bits can happen, right? It was kind of a bit when I'd show up. Yeah, like there were bits when like Keffels would. I mean, nothing that like stuck around. I don't know. Like I've seen it happen with other people. I think the most common thing with Keffels and myself was that could be like guessed to be that could be like referred to as like in the area of a bit, but it wasn't. It was Keffels like genuinely forgetting like how to properly pronounce my forename Ruadhán, and so would like ask Ellen in the other room like, hey honey, I forget how you say this guy's name again. I need some help, dear. Which like I thought was just like kind of adorable. Just but yeah, like I know Malcolm is also pretty open about himself having dyslexia. So, and I know that affects like how people read, etc., how they process words. And I think that helps him keep it easy. I hope that I think that helps him keep it easier, at least on some, even if subconscious dyslexia related level, to because his it's either his editor or one of his primary mods on the Discord, or maybe they're both, is Rowan, and Ruadhán is close enough to how you pronounce Rowan. Or Rowan is close enough to how you pronounce, my name, Ruadhán, that, Ruin helps him keep it, more easily separate as, like two different people. Like I said, that's just me speculating, based on, first, the fact that I know Malcolm is pretty open about, himself being dyslexic, and also, the fact that I have known a couple other people with dyslexia, just, like from being old as shit and having gone through high school, and like, like learning about the people around me. So yeah, like I think part of it is just like how his brain, processes words that he reads on a screen, more easily, and helps him keep it, remember it's, we're two different entities. Josh says, thought I knew Keffels from Ireland because my. Oh yeah, yeah, and that's, but and that's a thing that like you're not the only person. I think you're the first person I've seen say that to me, but you're also not the only person I've seen since, a couple other people have said that before, because like they recognize, me from, Keffel's stream is like, oh, are you one of her friends from Ireland? And I'm like, I wish, because crap and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, since Malcolm went and made the thing private, or what, yeah, private, because he was like sending it to his editor to do stuff to it for uploading. Let's see. I guess we have to pull up my goddamn download on what's it called? Media player, which now, since I've not done a thing on media player before, I'm gonna need a lot of input from, so like, since I've not done the share screen with somebody on with a restream via media player before, it would be nice if at least Josh, because I know you're here all the time, stayed in chat while I'm doing this. I don't know. Do I want to pull it up right now, or wait until I've got a second person in chat? Because there was a second person earlier. There was a third person earlier. Okay. Go to downloads. At the very least, I can long time ago. Okay. So let's see. All right, because I had it up in the thing the other day, and then I had to reboot the computer. And see, the fact that like Ethel just clearly could not be bothered to learn how my name is pronounced. It's just like, somebody who, like, clearly this is not an English language name. It does not, I mean, at the very least, it's not a familiar name to somebody who only speaks English. So you'd think that if such a person who, okay, when you download files, they'll show up here. Well, that's not helping me, because I downloaded this like at least a week ago. Earlier this month. Okay. Okay, Streamlab. All right, what the hell is with this? All right, we've got shit going back to 2018. Okay. So, all right, this is all shit from my OneDrive. Why are we doing this? Okay. Okay, we've got some old as shit videos from way, way back. Oh, some going back to 2015. That's interesting. Okay, so no. Okay, there's no reason for it to be in Streamlabs. Damn it. Because I don't want to give the bitch a view. Like, not even a little bit. Like, not even just a one-time itty-bitty micro view from myself. Watch today's video or the video before from... Oh, no, Briskry. No, I haven't watched any of Ethel's videos from today or anything like that. I haven't watched any of Ethel's videos on their own. Like, you know, as in like not watching somebody else's reaction to one of Ethel's videos in a couple of years, just because I don't want to give her the view. Like, I don't need to contribute to that ego and, you know, etc. I just like no, I don't need to. I don't need to watch Ethel's shit. It's boring shit. That's just like, you know, short version, that's just Ethel in a nutshell. It's gonna be boring ass shit. And let's see, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for. No, that's my honest, you know, that's my honest, like, okay, I've got like my legit taxes folder, you know, which is like titled important stuff, rent, bills, etc. So like, it's like that is a legit taxes folder I just like passed by. Like, I'm not meaning that as a euphemism. I am meaning that in the most literal way possible. But yeah, and the reason I haven't is because, like, I mean, in addition to the fact that I just don't want to give Ethel and that gargantuan ego an extra view, is because, like, I know it's gonna be. It's gonna be like stupid shit that, yeah, is gonna be like in some to some extent, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like commentary on some like trans news item that nobody else that's like going to be like generally uncontroversial to other trans, you know, amongst other trans people. So it's like, you know, she's going to be commenting on like either like one of J.K. Rowling's tweets or one of Glinner's tweets, or on some, you know, like very well established trans news item that, you know, like, you know, it's going to be like an uncontroversial opinion on this, at least amongst other trans activists. She is extremely self-absorbed. So and you know, and anything of hers that doesn't fall into that, like, you know, commentating on some transphobe's tweet, or commentating on some like news item that other trans people already know about and other trans YouTubers have addressed in a better way than Ethel could, at least in a more engaging way than Ethel could. Oh, bitch has made another video about me. Okay, that's fun. I mean, I'm not surprised, considering that she's you know, she's been trying, you know, she's been like she's been trying to get me kicked off of Reddit. Let's just put it like that succinct. You know, let's just put it like that, you know, simply. And But it's not gonna work. Because where the hell? Where the hell did I download this to? Like I said, it was up in my thing the other day. Is there a way I could Okay, so since 55 minutes about me and somebody else. Oh no. Anything but that. Has she figured out how to pronounce my fucking name? Because, there's at least half a dozen YouTube videos, mostly from other people. Apparently, I unlisted mine because I probably got self-conscious about the fact that I've got a bad habit of trilling my R's, which isn't much of a thing in most Irish dialects. That's usually a thing in Welsh. So let's see. To pronounce. So yeah, like I said, there's at least half a dozen. There's at least half a dozen YouTube videos from various people. That's a thing that I'm sure. Oh dear. Let's check a second video. See if this one says human voice on it. Yep. So yeah, for somebody who likes to accuse Courtney Orchard of xenophobia over just the way that like Courtney will lightly rip on Ethel's monotone and especially slow speech cadence. Like, for some reason, Ethel decided to tack xenophobia onto that as well, rather than just simply ableist because autism, but xenophobia because Ethel's mother Dutch, I guess, and that's relevant how, but okay. But, like, for somebody who likes to just, like, randomly attach xenophobia onto her accusations towards other people, why can't she accept that not all people who speak English have a name that is in the English language, and you can't just automatically know how a word is pronounced just by looking at it and taking a guess? Like this is like, oh shit, I forgot to share the screen. Oops, my bad. I forgot to share the screen of how to pronounce Ruadhán on that couple of channels. So yeah, here's the one most recently done.
Ruadhán. 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 Ruadhán.
Yeah, so it just repeats my name pronounced properly a few more times. But like I said, you'd think for somebody who is just like so, hell bent on attaching all sorts of weird additional accusations of whatever ism on another person, you'd think like maybe she'd at least put some effort into accepting that there are words in the world beside that are of languages that aren't English. But no, she would rather just like use the fact that like the security worker at the subway in India was shouting at her in Hindi to punctuate how fucking terrifying that incident was. Like, so what? You live in India. Like, as per a lot of stuff that she's put out there about herself, most likely in New Delhi or the surrounding area. But again, like she's put that out there herself. I believe it's but yeah, it's like no, what? Like she's been living there. She's been living there for in the area of 10, if not over 10 years, and still cannot be bothered to learn the language. But clearly wants to accuse other people like Courtney Pete of xenophobia for like whatever made up reason Ethel wants to attach to it. All right, this is starting to piss me off because I know I downloaded that fucking video and I'm going to find it. It was fucking I started it. I had it pulled up on Media Player up until I rebooted the computer a few days ago. You'd think. This is pissing me off. I'm gonna be uh 55 minutes of Ethel whining. Brits Creek continues. Pronunciation's better, but not perfect. I'm sure my pronunciation is imperfect as well, but that's because I didn't grow up speaking Irish, and I barely know much more Irish than my own name. Now, my paternal grandfather grew up speaking at least a little bit of Irish, and I know this because my father picked up some Irish swearing, which he picked up from his father. Let's see. Trash Panda never knew the English version of is Rowan. Yes and no. At least oh crap. Like I said, yes and no. It's close enough to like Rowan is often given as an anglicized version of Ruadhán. for some reason. I know traditionally the English name Rowan is after the variety of ash tree, whereas Ruadhán, whereas Ruadhán, my forename is it it means red-haired basically, or little red-haired one, which is the what the Latin name Rufus means. And Rufus Wainwright and I share a birthday too. Granted, he's a few years older than I am, but yeah, we share a birthday, and his forename and my forename both mean the same thing. Granted, his is Latin, mine is Irish. But yeah, like I said, you'd think somebody like Ethel, who is just like so quick to, like attach whatever isms, including xenophobia, onto her accusations of towards other people, would, like at least make an effort to, acknowledge that there are other languages besides English, and maybe she should at least make an effort to pronounce certain words and or names that are not of the English language correctly. But no, she doesn't want to do that. She wants to just bitch about like how big scary brown man in India is scary, and like in Ethel think, because we all know that's what she was, like really driving home in her little anecdote about the subway. Of course, she puts emphasis on the first syllable rather than, take a, rather than notice that the fada, behind the name, one of the edits to that in the last couple of years or so, behindthename.com, recently decided to, put emphasis on the first syllable of Ruadhán. And I don't know who the hell made that edit, but it's not how, that's not where the emphasis goes, and it wasn't always phoneticized that way. But sure, I don't know who on I don't know which person on the back end of behindthename.com decided to start trolling people in that way, but oh well, here we are, right? Blitzkrieg, other guys, EOT good. Oops. Josh, nothing to see here, folks. Wait. Oh, wait. Was I, Blitzkrieg, other guys Ethel went after today were Oswald and Afron. I don't know who those people are. I don't. It's, Blitzkrieg. She pronounced Poppy's aliases. Oh my god. Poppy's alias Poppy Diabolique as Poppy Diabolique. Oh my, what the fuck? Is Ethel allergic to language? Is she legit allergic to every language but English? Will it cause an anaphylactic reaction for her to say for her to say words that are outside the English language? Because that is just Diabolique. What the hell? I mean, I know Diabolique is just I don't even think it's proper French, but it's clearly in the area of French. Oh god. Yeah, and so now that really drives home the seriousness of my question. Is Ethel going to legit suffer an anaphylactic reaction if she says words that are in any language besides English? Because this is just bizarre at this point. No, I don't care what the fuck she says. I don't care what the fuck she says, because we know she and or her unpaid intern, Essence of Levi, are going to obsessively watch this. And timestamp at about 30 and 10. Oh god, I don't want to watch that. Especially not right now. But we know that, Ethel and or her essence of unpaid intern Levi are going to be watching this back and are going to, like, you know, like, make up whatever the fuck they want to say about me. And I'm just like, you know, probably accuse me of ableism, but I'm like, no, Ethel, at this point, like, it's got nothing to do with your autism, which you did not even have confirmed until you were an adult. And it's got everything to do with the fact that you're just fucking stupid. Like, this is not autism at this point, because people with autism, you know, especially at the level of, you know, like being able to socialize, especially, you know, people in the area of the autism spectrum who are at least in the area of Ethel's ability to socialize, you know, like, without somebody, like, holding their hand the whole way through. Because, like, yeah, you know, like, I'm thinking of people like Danderson and, you know, like, less verbal than Danderson, right? You know, but still in the same area as Danderson, because, like, you know, I know Josh has mentioned his brother being, like, in that area, so it's like so, like, people in, you know, like, Ethel's area, general vicinity on the autism spectrum, like this is not like they can understand words. They can like, learn that words in languages that are not one's first language follow different grammatical rules. And, you know, it may take a little bit of effort to really learn that, but if it's not a language that if it's not something that you are learning as a second language, right? If it's just like individual words, it's just like individual words, including names. Names are proper words, right? It's not hard to learn just like one or two different words. Like, at this point, it's just like, at this point, like I said, it's not even like, you know, like, whatever, like, it's not, this is not me being ableist. This is, you know, about, like, you know, Ethel RE her autism, because I've known a number of people on the autism spectrum. I've got a friend in the, you know, general, like, Portland type area of Oregon, in the United States. They're an online friend, and they were, you know, considered like, they're a little bit younger than me, so, like, they were considered low functioning as a kid in the 80s, but they're actually, like, incredibly eloquent in text. So, like, you know, I started chatting with this friend on Facebook, and and yeah, they're, like, a little bit better at being able to, like, take care of themselves than, say, Chris Chan, like noticeably better at that stuff, and, like, even does, like, part-time work doing, like, medical transcriptions, because, you know, like, even in this age of, like, you know, AI, you know, voice to text stuff, like, there's a lot of medical jargon that just does not come out properly in, you know, in that kind of thing, right? So, like, they do medical transcription, like, you know, in roughly part-time hours from home, and, you know, like, the biggest thing that gets in their way, like, as far as socializing goes, but it's gotten a lot better for them, is like text to speech, you know, apps on their tablet, right? So it's like, I know somebody who, like, you know, like, 35 some years ago was considered, like, low function. So I've got, you know, some friends, like, across the, you know, autism spectrum, like, you know, like, and, like, whatever the hell I think it's divided up into, like, levels 1, 2, and 3 now, with, like, you know, 3 being, you know, like, 3 being, like, somebody who absolutely definitely needs somebody looking after them 24/7, you know, lest, you know, stuff, you know, bad happens, right? People, like, at level 2 are, like, kind of in the middle, like Chris Chan, where they can, like, generally, you know, are a lot more competent than they may seem at first. And trust me, Chris Chan is a lot more competent than she seems at, you know, to a lot of people. Like, but Chris does still need somebody looking in after her, you know, ideally every day, maybe every other day, but, you know, Chris definitely needs somebody looking in on her just to make sure that like everything's going smoothly, but is generally a lot more competent than they seem at first. And then you've got level 1, which is like people like Dan Aykroyd, who like way back in the day would have been diagnosed with Asperger's, but there's like a lot of issues around that as a term these days. But yeah, it's like, so yeah, it's got like nothing to do with like whatever opinions I may or may not have about those living with autism spectrum disorder. This has everything to do with the fact that Ethel is functionally stupid. Like, Ethel is nowhere near as smart as she thinks she is, and where is this goddamn thing that I downloaded like last week? Because I really, really do not want to no, it's not here. Of course not. That would make sense. That would make some kind of sense for it to be in a thing that, okay. Quick access. Here. No. This is, this is all, maybe in here. No, that's literally the thing I was looking at the other day. Okay, this is fun. This is, oh, wait, I've got questions happening in chat. Blitzkrieg almost vomited when he heard that pronunciation of Papi Diabolique. Yeah, that's like I said, like this is just Ethel is just fucking stupid. And somebody who can be like so confident that they're always the smartest person in the room, yet has proven over and over again to just be fundamentally stupid on a number of levels. It's like seriously, like the main reason I was willing to give Ethel like credit for, much longer than I should have, honestly, is because, there's two reasons. One, for a good while, I honestly thought she meant well. I really did. And then just like things just kept piling up. And contrary to what Ethel wants to believe, no, it wasn't just, like being kicked out of the Discord that I was barely, more than a lurker in. It's, like shit just kept piling up and piling up. And yeah, if you really want to look at the date stamps on everything, no, it did, it was like sometime after getting booted from the Discord that I, went to, like my WordPress and Reddit and stuff. But no, it's because things just kept piling up that just like did not add up to Ethel having the inherently good intentions I thought she did. I thought she did it first. And yeah, she likes to play up the not so much play up, but she likes to weaponize her past experience with CSA, that to really to really dig into people's sympathies, where like at some point it's like at some point she knows she's doing this to be manipulative, like and if you pay close enough attention, it's really obvious that Ethel is doing this to be manipulative. But Josh says his brother had to be told to say hi. Then he has to be told to say hi. Then he repeats, "Say hi." Oh, yeah, it's like that kind of like Danderson is like barely a little bit above that like if you want to like talk about terms of social skills, right? Like Danderson is maybe not so much barely, but it's like little stuff like that, like I don't know, it's like, I understand why people are just like, oh, like, it's like, if you know one person with autism, you know exactly one person with autism. Like, yeah, at the same time, though, there's going to be some common ground, which thus, like, puts people with autism, in an ASD diagnosis. Like, there has to be some commonality amongst, therefore, to meet diagnostic requirements, right? So it's like yeah, you're gonna notice some tendencies. Like, don't, and that's fine. Like, people notice. I mean, shit. Like, I mean, there is some overlap in and plus, like, something like 35 to like 45% of people with ASD also meet an ADHD requirement diagnosis. I read various things. I read some people say, as little as like 30 to 35%. Some people say as much as like 45%, etc. Right? I think I brought this up in a previous stream. But it's like, so I think that's what, like, like, because I've been screened for it, but I still my I still like only meet the diagnostic criteria for ADHD, not not ADHD, but still, it's like, like, people mistake me for having the other one as well, just because, like, there is some common ground, which explains the the very, like, significant comorbidity. Rich Krieg asks if I'm set up for call-ins. Not right now. I'm not set up for call-ins at this time because I don't know how to set it up. And if anybody wants to, like, help me with that, set up like call-ins via Discord or something, I would be more than happy to do that. But I don't think that's a thing to set up right now during the stream. And speaking of the stream, I think I'm going to keep it on the shorter end tonight just because I cannot find where the fuck I downloaded that video to, and it's kind of pissing me off. And I say kind of when it's like, when I've been like vocally pissed off about it for most of the last hour thereabouts. But yeah. So yeah, like I saw Malcolm's stream last night, which it's like I said, I just, like, I cringed inside every time, every time the bitch mispronounced my name, because, like, it's like, really, you're gonna come at Courtney Orchard, with allegations of xenophobia, and you, Ethel, cannot even be bothered to admit that there are names in this world in languages besides English. Like, really, you're gonna call Courtney xenophobic when, you, with your fucking accent, want to animalize a man in India for shouting at you in Hindi, but you want to call Courtney xenophobic because she lightly mocks your monotone and, incredibly slow speech cadence that's like that like reminds a number of people, myself included, of an incredibly unfunny Ben Stein. Now, if you're younger than myself, you may not necessarily recognize the name Ben Stein, but he's been in a number of really iconic roles. Probably, the biggest one being Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So you've probably seen him in a movie, most likely Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And
in 1930, Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the anyone Great Depression, passed the anyone a tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which raised or raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone know the effects?
This is any average enough person, so somebody who is not really drank the Kool-Aid, listening to an Essence of Thought video at average speed, at normal speed, you listen to at 1.0 speed, Ethel of Thought, this is your face. This is your face on Ethel. Any questions? Like, Rich Creek says Ethel really never did address the animals. I know, because she doesn't, because that would mean admitting that she did a racism. Like, that would be Ethel admitting she did a racism. And Ethel can't ever admit that, because Ethel, like, has to keep up this facade of being the most virtuous person to ever internet. And I'm sorry, she's not. She's not. She's as flawed as anybody else, arguably more so than, a lot of people. And like, admitting that she did a racism, like, Ethel can't do that. Ethel can't admit to that. That would mean Ethel did a bad thing, and maybe Ethel is not the one to, allege others having or at least entertaining white supremacist fantasies. Like, that would mean Ethel is not, like, this arbiter of morality that she pretends to be on the internet. Bueller. I know, right? Like that. So of course Ethel can't actually address, like, anything that anybody says about anything she does wrong. She can't. It would destroy her fucking mental image of herself. It would mean that every once in a while, Ethel is indeed wrong.
It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today, we have a similar debate over this. Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer curve.
Again, this is your face on Ethel. Any questions? Like, Oh, of course she Of course she Darvoed. Of course Ethel Darvoed. I mean, like, why accept the fact that, like the bitch didn't even know, like, how to properly use the term Miss Thang. Like, she didn't even understand that. Like, I grew up in Metro Detroit. It would, as I said, in a couple of streams already, it would be weird if I didn't pick up some AAVE growing up as a kid in Metro Detroit in the 80s. It would be weird if I didn't pick up on any of this, because if I did not pick up on any of that, that would mean that, well, first off, that would mean that I probably didn't grow up in Metro Detroit, like I say, or if it did, it would mean I grew up in, like, an incredibly white flight suburb, which I did not. But it would also mean, at the very least, it would mean that, like, at the very least, my parents were so racist that they, would, like, beat it out of me if I were to pick up any of the little, like, AAVE phrases from the neighborhood kids, right? Like at the very best read, like, that's what it would come off as if I did not pick up any of that. So, but yeah, like, I'm not gonna gentrify the way I speak just because it makes a few white people on the internet a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, of course she Darvoed, like, she doesn't even know what the hell Miss Thang means. When, like, literally, like, let's, anyone? Can we perhaps, like, find out what that means? Anyone? Anyone? a conceited woman. Definition. Now, to be fair, I did MX as in mix, as in like gender, neutral. Definition, noun phrase, a conceited woman. Example, I'll check my lipstick as soon as Miss Thang leaves the mirror. So yeah, I think I did use it properly. Let's see, Urban Dictionary. What's the meaning and origin? Has its origins in. Now I know the like this was a phrase that was all over the Metro Detroit area by the 80s. I saw somebody in the comments as I was downloading the Ethel video last week that somebody says, "Oh, it was an album name back in like 1994 from singer Monica." And I'm like, first off, she got the phrase because it was already a common phrase. Like she got the album title because it was already a common phrase. It's a common phrase that goes back to the 70s. Really, we're doing this today. I think this was the once type gets to about like this size, especially if we're talking like, black or gray on a white background, like I'm just kind of like guessing at what it says because it's not completely legible to me at that point, at least from this distance on my laptop. So so I think this was the search result that came up with what was it? All right, let's just all right, there we go again with the white flight kids represent. Yeah, I was not a white flight kid. My father's parents were so stubborn that they did not succumb to white flight in Detroit in the 40s, early 50s, because they were just stubborn Irish people, right? So yeah, like my dad grew up in Detroit. I grew up in the greater metro area, which, yeah, like technically Toledo, Ohio, but as I've said before to many, many people, Toledo, Ohio is to Detroit as Gary, Indiana is to Chicago. And that's very true. So yeah, like Toledo, Ohio is basically Metro Detroit because like culturally and through and through just the plain fact that it's like half hour to 45-minute drive depending on the traffic on the freeways. So but yeah, I did not grow up in a white flight burb. I grew up in a predominantly African American neighborhood in Metro Detroit. So it's like, if anything, like my parents were so broke by the time I was born, that's like white flight, just was not even on the table. Like picking out a white flight neighborhood, or a white flight suburb just was like, it was not even on the table. Blitzkrieg was totally a white flight. Oh, that sucks. Like oh God. It took me a little, I will say though, like one of the whitest things about me is like, it took me a little while, like, and when I say a little while, I mean like maybe the first couple of months, in junior high at, in the rural town in Lenawee County where my stepmother lived and where we moved. Just, there was some kind of technicality with my stepmother going back to finish up her master's in social work. Anyway, that's like, it was just like she kind of was locked into the school there, and it was easier for us to move and for my younger sister and I to change schools than it was for my stepmother to move to Toledo, and and she would not have been able to change schools, and the commute to and from her college was gonna was going to be like in the area of an hour, etc. And like, same with, her job there, it just, so yeah, like it took me a little over a month. So like when I say a little while, I mean like, this was just like me, like being a kid and, in the 80s and like the whole like Depeche Mode and people are people, etc., right? Right. So like it took me a little bit to figure out why the hell I thought it was just so goddamn weird in that town. And when it finally occurred to me, like, what was so weird about that town was just how white it was. Like, I thought cities and towns that white, like demographically speaking, like I thought they, like cities and towns that white, that fundamentally white, where there was like literally 2 black families in the whole school district, right? And even that was considered a little bit diverse for Lenawee County, Michigan, right? Like that was considered diverse for Lenawee County, Michigan when I was, like a teenager in the in the, early mid 90s, right? It's like it took me a little bit. It took me a little bit. Like I was saying, like in the area of like, like a month or so, maybe closer to 2. I don't know. Like this was just like me being like, kind of like an oblivious kid, like, more so for the fact that I was like pissy having to move out of like a real city that had like real resources and like real libraries and like an actual public transportation and shit like that. And then to like make matters worse, it's like when I was starting 7th grade in Lenawee County, in like my tiny rural junior high. So I'm like starting 7th grade with lessons that were out of like in one class, it was seriously the same textbook even that was at my old Catholic school for 4th or 5th grade. So it's like we're learning stuff that like I had already learned like 3 grades earlier, right? Like 2 or 3 grades earlier. So it's like we're learning stuff that's like I'm like, Dad, no, this was my textbook in like 4th or 5th grade. This school is stupid. So it's like I said, like there's a number of reasons it took me a little bit, but it did. But when it did, it finally, dawned on me that like what I find like so freaky, like Stepford Wives level of weird about that town. What I found so weird about that town, especially at the time I was going to junior high and high school there, was just like how white it was. Like a level of whiteness I thought only existed in the movies. like I guess it just didn't occur to me that, there are some places that are genuinely that fucking white. It's like I said, yeah, like I'm in 7th grade, so I'm like, 12 years old. So I'm like, kind of like, I understood this in concept as a thing that probably exists in the real world. Like, okay, it's in theory, this is a thing that technically exists, still exists, etc., that kind of thing. But it's like to like see it unfold in action before you, and like not even like, and yet it's like, if when you finally find yourself immersed in it, it just plays out like everybody else seems to think that this is so normal that it doesn't even occur to you, right? It doesn't even occur to you that this is what's so weird right away about it. But yeah, it's like I'm like I said, I grew up in a predominantly African American neighborhood in Metro Detroit. So yeah, like I picked up some AAVE, we called it Ebonics back in the 80s, like just because, like that's where I went to school. That was my old neighborhood. These were the kids I, talked to and was friendly with. Like I said, it would be weird if I didn't pick up any of that. So yeah, as I said, like, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes ago, I'm probably going to keep this a shorter stream because I really wanted to watch the fucking video that's like a few weeks old now. But I cannot find where the hell on my laptop it downloaded to, and we've got 5 whole viewers right now, which is on the higher end for the last couple of weeks. and I feel a little bit stupid about and I feel a little bit stupid now regarding all this because yeah, it's like I said, like I've got nothing to watch right now, and honestly, I'm going. Speaking of Detroit, I'm gonna be in Detroit tomorrow night, cause City Club, Leland City Club. It's the the oldest near continuously running. Like there's been a couple points where it's where just like the there's like whether or not Leland City Club was operating as a club in general was like on an extended hiatus just like due to like building repairs and stuff, right? But so like when you put aside like those kind of things, it's the oldest near continuously running goth night in the US, possibly globally, like because like Batcave, like the original Batcave in London has like closed down for a few years and had oh, you okay, Nigel? Sorry, cat's having an asthma attack. Hold on. I want to get his inhaler off the desk, but I know as soon as I do, he's probably going to run under the bed. Hey, baby boy. Hey, hon. Not a bud. You okay, baby boy? Hey, hon. Oh. Hey, honey. Oh, you sounding better? You sounding better, baby boy? I love you. Hey, Nigel. Hey, hon. Where'd your treats go? Oh, right here. This thing. Please be done. Yes. Okay. Yes, Nigel. I know. Do we want some treats? Yeah. Right. Okay. Sorry, like even though Nigel Nigel's asthma attack didn't necessitate the whiffer, his inhaler, I still like to give him treats after he has like even a minor asthma attack, just because then he's less likely to run back under the bed after I give him his inhaler. Asthma inhaler for cat. And I suspect Bran may have a mild case of asthma himself, anyway, so like I said, I'm gonna be ending it a bit like I'm gonna be ending it. I'm gonna be ending it. Actually, might as well just end it now. Because actually, I'm gonna play something real. Oh shit! I gotta go to the bathroom. So, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. So before I sign off, that's something I forgot to. That's a major thing I forgot to put on the new phone. Hold on. I got my balls to my butthole. Oh my God, what did I do? I can't take a stop, 'cause now my balls are blocking up my butthole. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Good God, I pulled too hard, now my skull looks stretched out like a funky watching her man use a butter knife, face down, ass up, trying soft to sack. Oh baby, fuck it, please just take me back. I grew my balls to my butthole, baby. Oh my God, what did I do? I can't take a dump, 'cause now my balls are blocking up my butthole. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Good God, I put you on, now my skull. Vislat? Josh, why are you speaking Hungarian at me in chat? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end stream hereabouts because, like I said, oh honey, Brian's being a little guy. But yeah, I need to figure out where the hell I downloaded that video to. But yeah, Sunday I'm gonna be doing jigsaw puzzle in the front room, and then what? Yeah, doing jigsaw in the front room, probably talking about like obscure history stuff. Saying goodbye. Yeah. So yeah, like here's about where here's the signing off bit. Not streaming tomorrow because tomorrow is club night. I'm gonna be in Detroit for the whole night and probably dancing. It's gonna be Tim Burton theme at Leland City Club tomorrow night, but yeah, that'll be fine. I like Tim Burton. Though I will say, Guillermo del Toro is like Tim Burton for adults. Like as far as like, you know, they're as far as like both of them like do films with a specific kind of audience in mind. I mean, to be fair, like Tim Burton like will like more explicitly cater to the goth subculture, whereas like Del Toro just, you know, he's just got this really like narrow focused like, you know, gothic literature aesthetic of sorts, right? You know, so like his films coincidentally appeal to the same crowd as Tim Burton's, but it's like they've got like more mature themes and all that. It's like not saying that Tim Burton can't appeal to adults. I mean, you know, but yeah, it's like a more refined and mature take on the same, you know, kind of you know, like the same kind of you know, audience that but anyway, so where was it going? Like, so yeah, tomorrow night, not streaming. I generally do not stream on Saturdays because that is my city club night. Sunday is going to be like I said, hopefully doing a jigsaw puzzle in the front room, kitchen table, whatever. I mean, it's like one big empty room out there, and unless I've got kidney stone issues again, in which case next stream will be Tuesday, because even though I haven't been out to Factory Mondays at Necto in downtown Ann Arbor for quite some time, I like the option. Of going out on a Monday to Necto. So so after Sunday is going to be Tuesday's stream. I'm going to be it's going to be chill. I'm going to be doing some crochet and talking about whatever stuff and nonsense. All right, I think we're good for now. So as always, be sure to, you know, stay hydrated, take your meds if you need them. And have exactly the kind of day you deserve. Bats and kisses, nosta achwil. Good night and goodbye.